One Piece chapter 1008 is already out. If you haven't had a chance to read the chapter, I would suggest that you go read the chapter and then proceed with the video. Now, this chapter was a huge relief for me and I believe for a lot of other fans. Because chapter 1007, the previous chapter, ended with a huge cliffhanger which got the community in a huge frenzy. A lot of people were confused, a lot of people were already jumping to conclusions, they were angry, there was a lot of discussions going on about who that Odin was. Was that the real Odin? Was that a fake Odin? And we get all those answered in this chapter, and I'm so glad that Oda did this, because if he was going to pull this for a couple more chapters before revealing it later on, people would be even more pissed. And that would include me as well, because Odin died a beautiful, legendary death, and he will be remembered for that. And to think that Odin would be coming back a few chapters later in the future, just, so he can help the Alliance win the war, things like that, that is bad writing. And I'm so glad that I trusted in Oda. I knew that Oda will not go through that route, and Oda did deliver. I love what he did with this chapter. I'm so glad that that's not the real Oda. I mean, that's not the real Odin. And if it was the real Odin, I would be raging, just like everyone else. But, of course, Oda has delivered. Now, as we start the chapter, we are looking at the Scabbards, and they're pretty much confused, but they're surprised. And it's kind of shocking because these guys know Odin better. They saw him die, they saw him burn, they saw him getting boiled. They should know better, and yet their desperate situation makes them want to believe it. They believe that he could have come back from the dead, or he could have come back from the past, and they want to believe it because they're that desperate. Kinemon particularly, he's just too happy to even think, and the only sensible one among all of them is Ashura Doji. Ashura Doji knows that this is an imposter, it's a fool, that the real person is dead, and that Toki did say that it's not possible for someone to go back in the past. They can only use the time fruit to go into the future. So this is very interesting because this shows that someone from the past cannot come to the future again. You cannot go and bring back Joy Boy, you cannot go bring back Rox, you cannot go bring back Roger. None of that is possible. You can only keep moving into the future, which is a good thing, because it would really be bad if sometimes in the future we have maybe like Rox come back to life, or Joy Boy, or any of these people. These people are legendary because they died, they were heroes of the past, and then we just leave them there. You don't bring them back and then ruin the story. And I'm so glad that Oda didn't go that way. And then, of course, Ashura Doji punches some sense into Kinemon, who's refusing to believe it, and he proves it by cutting Odin. And Odin does not bleed because he is Kanjuro's drawing. Now, this is pretty interesting because Kanjuro's powers are insane. And we already seen glimpses of Kanjuro's powers, and that was pretty exciting already, but now we can see that his drawings can actually talk, his drawings can carry emotion, his drawings cannot get hurt. So how much of this can he really do? Because if he's able to create multiples of this, how powerful would he be? Like, for example, Brûlé. If you take Brûlé, she has the ability to transform herself into anyone. So she can transform herself into Luffy, and when she does, she can copy his powers. So when she transformed into Luffy, she was able to stretch her body, she was able to do everything Luffy was doing. The same way when she transformed into Caesar Clown, she was able to fly and she was able to use the gas fruit. So can Kanjuro do something like that? Can Kanjuro draw someone, let's say Big Mom, and can she use the Soul Fruit as well? Can his drawing use that ability? Because that would be insanely broken. Because this Odin, he hasn't fought yet, but I would assume that he would be at least as strong as Odin, because why would he choose to draw Odin? That's another thing that's pretty confusing about this whole situation here, because why in the world would Kanjuro summon Odin? Why would he draw Odin when all of you guys, all the Scabbards, witnessed him die? Of course, it's not going to fool the Scabbards. If you want to fool the Scabbards, you could maybe draw Hiyori, you could maybe draw someone else, like maybe, let's say Momonosuke, fool them for a bit. That would work. Why did you choose Odin? That doesn't make any sense. It's kind of confusing, but we'll go with it. And of course, Ashura Doji was the MVP of this chapter. Ashura Doji gets stabbed, and then he, chooses to sacrifice himself, and then he gets blown up because of Odin strapping some bombs on him. All of that good stuff. This is what I'm scared. If Ashura Doji is still alive, that would make this chapter really annoying, because we are yet to get a major death in this entire war arc. And for the most part, people who are supposed to die are coming back to life, and who are close to death are not dying. Grandpa Hio was supposed to die, and he's not dead. He's of course rescued. Carrot and Wanda, they got beaten up, but none of them are dead, or nothing happened to them. Perospero is on his way, and of course, Carrot and Wanda are going to get back up. They're going to recover, and then they're going to come back and beat him. The Scabbards, none of the Scabbards are dead yet. They've gotten beaten up by Kaido, and Kaido, for some reason, again chose not to kill them. So this is like a continuous thing in One Piece right now. It's getting a bit of annoying, because these people who are supposed to get defeated, who are supposed to be put down, they're not. All these powerful guys like Big Mom and Kaido, they keep missing the opportunity to kill them, and then they come back with a vengeance. So I'm hoping that Ashura Doji is down for the count, and this would be a casualty that we can look forward to. I highly doubt it, again, because this is still One Piece, and this guy is going to be back together. He is pretty fat. He's a big guy. He probably can handle a couple of blows. So we'll have to wait and see. Kanjuro, of course, is going after Momonosuke. He wants to kill the Kozuki clan. And, of course, we got to move on from that, because Kanjuro, of course, we know that he wasn't going to die. He got off-screen in one panel. We all know that that's not going to happen. Now, the next important thing here is that we see Orochi, and before we go to Orochi, we have to see Scabbards versus Jack. Jack has made his way here, and the Scabbards are facing him. This time, Inuarashi tells everyone else to go, and Inuarashi is going to stand and fight. Now, this could be a good fight because both of them are injured. Jack is also injured. Inuarashi is also injured. And as Inuarashi says, there's no poison gas here. And as Jack says, there is no moonlight here. So they're both kind of equally masked. Of course, Jack is supposed to be more stronger, and he is a Zoan, so he has an advantage. We'll have to see how this goes. Now, in the previous chapter, we also saw Sanji. He's trying to make a decision between going to help the Scabbards versus going to save Momonosuke. Now, a lot of people think that he is going to come to the Scabbards' aid because they're in a rough spot, they're in a rough position. Jack is headed towards them, but it's also possible that he could go help Yamato and Momonosuke. Now, if that happens, this will be interesting because this will be a fight between Jack, Inuarashi, and, Sanji. Let's hope to see the best. Now, moving on from that just for a bit, we're going to see Orochi. Orochi is starting a fire all over the place, and he's trying to burn down Onigashima. Now, here's the stupid part about that. The entire island is flying, right? And you're burning up the entire place. Where are you going to get off? You are going to die along with that too. You're going to burn and die as well. And he's such an idiot that he's burning the entire spot, and he's got the help of Fukurokujo, who is silencing everyone who sees them. And of course, we all knew that Orochi's not dead. Anyone who believes that he's dead, I don't know what to tell you. The guy's devil fruit is all about heads. He has multiple heads. So of course, cutting one of his heads is not going to do much. He's going to come back, and we're going to see more of him. Now, moving on from that, again, we're going to see about Momonosuke, and he's talking about how he's able to control his dragon form. And this is starting to prove that that devil fruit was indeed a success. Before, we thought that this devil fruit was not a success because he was able to, not able to control it, and he was popping up and back and forth without his own control. But now, Momo is able to control it, which means that this devil fruit was indeed a success. So we have to wait and see how this devil fruit is going to be used, because Momo keeps crying that he's not very useful, he's not very brave, he's not very strong. This devil fruit can easily change it, because we see Kaido, we see how powerful Kaido is with that dragon fruit, and if Momo is able to get at least a little bit of that power, he could possibly help Luffy deliver the finishing blow. And we'll have to wait and see what that happens. Yamato is wondering about Luffy, and this is the interesting part where Momo is able to tell what Luffy is doing. Now, there's a couple of theories here. It could be because Momo is hearing the voice of all things again, just like he was hearing in Zou. That's one of the possibilities, that he's listening to the story, he's listening to what's happening there, and he's able to tell. Or he's able to, have a sync between himself and Kaido, and he's able to see what Kaido is seeing. He's able to feel that, something on that regard. Something weird is going on, because he's not supposed to know what Luffy is doing up there, and yet he does, which Shinobu is also freaked out about. Anyway, moving on from that, we go to the rooftop back again, which I'm so happy. We're going back to the roof, and probably the next chapter we will be dealing with the roof stuff. Great stuff. And we're looking at the Supernova fight against the two Yonko. The Supernova are pretty much wrecked. Luffy is going back to fight, he's getting thrashed, he's getting sent back, and they're talking about how these two are monsters. These are two Yonko and they're monsters, and they need to have a plan. Now, Law agrees that they have to split up Big Mom and Kaido because together it's impossible to beat them. And it's going to be interesting to see how they accomplish that because both of them are able to fly, both of them are able to move really, really fast. So it's not that easy to split up Big Mom and Kaido. And it seems that these guys have been fighting for a while because Luffy's pretty messed up, and the more important thing here is that Big Mom is actually on top of Prometheus and not on Zeus. Because when we left Big Mom, she was on top of Zeus, but now she's on top of Prometheus. But none of them, Big Mom and Kaido, none of them have any injuries on them. Kaido has a little bit of, bruises here and there probably, but Big Mom is clean. She has no scratches on her yet. So there's going to be a long gap between these guys are ever going to be able to defeat Big Mom and Kaido, and that's interesting. That's how it's supposed to be because Big Mom and Kaido are Yonko. They are leagues above the supernova, and they shouldn't be able to even get scratched that easily. And this, I'm loving it. I'm loving what Oda is doing with Big Mom and Kaido. I'm looking forward to seeing one of these guys get defeated in Wano, hopefully Kaido, because this is Kaido's arc, and Kaido does seem a little bit bruised, but I'm hoping that this victory comes from Luffy and from the Scabbards, from the supernova. There should not be any outside interference. CP0 should not come in. The world government should not come in. That would undermine their victory. Anyway, this chapter was amazing. Kaido's hybrid form is pretty good. I was expecting a lot more, to be honest, because of the silhouette and all that. I was expecting it to be more grand. Honestly, it doesn't look all that different from his normal form. It's just that he has a tattoo on the other side as well, and he has a new horn. That's pretty much all the difference that I can see, and he has a tail as well. Anyway, this is a pretty good design. We're gonna see the next chapter coming in next week because there is no break next week, so I will see you on the next chapter. Thanks for watching and have a great day.